Everyone, this is a 5 p.m. update on Hurricane Helene. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of information to pass on to you with this update, and some of it is increasingly dire for the people in the path of this storm. Let's start first with where Helene is situated right now, pulling away from the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, or just north of Cancun, Mexico. Maximum wind speeds are now up to 85 miles per hour, so continuing to strengthen, and the pressure's down to 978 millibars. It's starting to make the turn to the north and ultimately to the north-northeast and pick up speed as it does when it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. I want to talk about the size really quick before intensity. This orange area here on the map depicts the current extent or size of the tropical storm force winds. You can see just how big it is. And if you sort of move this along, you can sort of see how broad the wind impacts are going to be, which is why we have the watch warnings depicted on here. So blue is a tropical storm warning, red is the hurricane warning. Let's start first with the hurricane warning here. So hurricane warning means hurricane conditions are expected. And for those in the path, unfortunately, that means catastrophic wind impact. So let's call out a few cities that are in the path here. Tallahassee, unfortunately, you're going to be right in the path of these catastrophic winds. Valdosta, Georgia, Albany, even all the way up to Warner Robins in southern Georgia. Get a sense of just how far inland those hurricane force winds are going to extend. Now, why the phrase catastrophic winds? That's seems a little bit up in terms of our language from before, because now we're forecasting Helene to be a Category 4. The Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale before it makes landfall sometime late tomorrow. That's a major hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. We're looking at catastrophic wind impacts within this red area. What does that mean in real world language? That means you need to prepare for prolonged power outages. Think about what you need to be safe and secure for several days without power. Significant down trees. So this area in here has a lot of big tree canopy. Those trees are going to come down in those strong winds. Blocked roads, unsafe conditions to be out and about. You need to think about what you need to stay home for several days. Get it and do it tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. For many of you, you're starting to run out of time, so the time to act is now. Let's talk about the blue area, tropical storm warnings. Look how far inland the tropical storm warnings extend. We don't normally issue tropical storm warnings this far inland or for this part of the country. Blanketing the entire state of Georgia, the entire state of South Carolina, and western periphery or the mountains of North Carolina with tropical storm winds. And we're going to talk about the rainfall threat in a second. The wind plus the rainfall is going to be a double whammy. Now, before we talk about the rainfall, let's talk about the storm surge. Storm surge warning is still in effect for basically the entire west coast of Florida, from all the way down here at Cape Sable and Everglades National Park, all the way around the Big Bend, Apalachicola, over to Mexico Beach. Why are they under a storm surge warning? Look at the peak storm surge values. We're going to zoom in here and talk about some specific values. Let's talk about first the Big Bend area, 15 to 20 feet. Now, I've been here for 25 years. We don't normally forecast surge values this big, so this is pretty significant. So if you're in this area here, this purple area here, Horseshoe Beach, Steinhatchee, Cedar Key, you need to be taking this seriously right now. And if you've been ordered to evacuate, you got to do so very, very soon. But the storm surge will extend well beyond where the center makes landfall. Even down here, let's look at Tampa, 5 to 8 feet of storm surge. And if you're wondering why mandatory evacuations were issued for some of the counties in here, this is why. It's based off the storm surge forecast. Look how far south the storm surge gets, 3 to 5 feet from Inglewood south to Flamingo in Everglades National Park. So again, big storm surges, even well removed from where the center tracks. Now, we alluded to this in the 11:30 video update about a excessive rainfall and flood threat materializing. So as the storm moves in here, it's going to interact with sort of a cold front, if you will, that's going to enhance the rainfall threat. And we're looking at the potential for significant rain and flooding over basically the entire southeast, with the red area being especially concerning. So I'm going to draw your attention to the red and purple areas. Let's call out some of the communities in that threat area. Atlanta, Augusta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. All of these areas have the potential for heavy rain and flash flooding. It's so hard for people to understand something as typical as rain being life-threatening, but we often lose 50% of the lives lost in hurricanes often occur in this inland flash flooding. Let me say that again because it's going to shock some of you. 50% of the lives lost historically in hurricanes occur from this inland flash flooding potential. So if you're in this red area, and especially if you're in this purple area, you need to be taking, especially taking caution and paying attention to the weather. When this rain develops over your community, you do not need to be out and about. You do not need to be driving through it. It is often extremely difficult to see how deep the water is in roads, so do not drive through these conditions. Now, a lot of you were asking in the comments about more up-to-date, the video updates are only twice per day and you want more updated information. Everything that I've shown you here today, everything that we've talked about, every one of these graphics, all of this information is available at hurricanes.gov, which is updated all the time. It'll be updated all night tonight, all through the evening, all day tomorrow. So if you want more increased information, more timely information, go to hurricanes.gov and you can get all of this information through tonight and through tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 with the next video update. And again, if you want more information, go to hurricanes.gov.